The elegant three-story home stood like a monument to success in the upscale neighborhood. Inside, Daniel Mercer surveyed his dining room with the practiced eye of someone accustomed to calculating value. "More Cabernet, Monica?" he asked, tipping the bottle toward his sister's glass. Monica Mercer Holloway, 42, extended her glass. She was scrolling through social media with a furrowed brow. "They're still threatening to release it," she murmured, finally setting the phone down. "The blackmailer wants another 50,000 by Friday." 50,000? Reed scoffed, reaching for the wine bottle himself when Daniel hesitated. "Amateur hour. Try owing 200 grand to people who don't send polite text messages as reminders." Daniel cleared his throat. "I'm afraid I'm not in a position to help either of you this time." He placed the wine bottle down. The Peterson development fell through. The investors pulled out yesterday. Silence descended on the dining room, heavy with implication. All three siblings had reached the same precipice. Financial ruin loomed, with consequences beyond mere bankruptcy. "What about a loan?" Monica suggested. Daniel's laugh was brittle. "With what collateral? Everything I own is leveraged to the hilt." Reed leaned back in his chair. "What about Mom and Dad? They're sitting on a gold mine with that house. Paid off decades ago, right? Plus, Dad's retirement package from the university was pretty sweet." "They're not exactly in a giving mood lately," Daniel replied. "Dad's becoming difficult." Monica tapped her fingernail against her wine glass. "They don't even use most of the house. Just the main floor now that Dad has trouble with stairs. And that retirement fund? It's just sitting there." Her voice took on a wheedling quality. "They always said they wanted to help us. They meant helping with down payments or college tuition, not bailing us out of self-created disasters," Daniel countered. Reed snorted. "Always the moral compass, Danny. Right up until your own neck is on the line." He leaned forward. "Look, they're what? 75? 76? They don't need a 4-bedroom house. They don't need a portfolio that size. Mom's getting forgetful. Dad's health isn't great. They should be thinking about assisted living anyway." "Are you suggesting we convince our parents to sell their home and give us the money?" Daniel asked. "I'm suggesting we help them make appropriate decisions for their age. If those decisions happen to free up assets that could help their children, well, isn't that what family is for?" Daniel swirled the wine in his glass, watching the ruby liquid catch the light. "They would never agree to sell. That house is their pride and joy." "They might not need to sell," Reed said. "There's power of attorney, estate planning, joint accounts, lots of ways for concerned children to help manage their parents' affairs." "We'd need to coordinate," Daniel said finally. "Visit more often. Gain trust." Walter and Hilda Mercer's suburban home stood in stark contrast to their son's showplace. Though modest by comparison, it radiated something Daniel's house lacked, the warm patina of a life well lived. Inside, Walter sat at the kitchen table, methodically sorting through mail. At 76, his movements had slowed, but his mind remained sharp. "Hilda," he called toward the living room where his wife was reading, "did you see this email from the bank? Something about account access verification?" Hilda appeared in the doorway, a paperback novel in hand. At 74, she remained active, despite occasional forgetfulness that she dismissed as senior moments. "I didn't check my email today, dear. What does it say?" Before Walter could answer, the doorbell chimed. Hilda's face brightened immediately. "That must be Monica. She said she might stop by." Walter's expression didn't mirror his wife's enthusiasm. 3 visits in 2 weeks. "Must be a record," Hilda chided gently. "Don't be cynical. She's making an effort." The effort, as Walter had privately noted, coincided suspiciously with Monica's recent divorce proceedings from her third husband, a plastic surgeon whose practice had been sued for malpractice. Monica swept in bearing gift bags and air kisses. "Mom, you look wonderful. Is that a new haircut?" "No, dear. Same as always." "Well, it looks especially nice today. I brought you some of those French soaps you like. And look, a cashmere throw for those chilly evenings." Walter watched from the kitchen doorway, noting how Monica's eyes swept the room, cataloging possessions like an appraiser. When she spotted him, her smile widened artificially. "Daddy, come give me a hug." Dutifully, Walter embraced his daughter. "This is a nice surprise, Monica. To what do we owe the pleasure?" "Can't a daughter visit her parents without an agenda?" Monica asked with a laugh. "Of course she can," Hilda interjected. "Come sit down. I'll make coffee." "Actually," Monica said, I was hoping to talk to you both about something important. Daniel and Reed are concerned too, but they thought it might be better coming from me. Concerned about what? Monica guided her mother to the sofa, taking her hand in a gesture of practiced sincerity. Mom, I've noticed you've been a bit forgetful lately, repeating yourself sometimes. Missing appointments. Well, everyone forgets things sometimes. Of course they do, Monica soothed, but there are tests now. Early intervention is so important, and we should really start thinking about your future care needs. Both of you. Walter crossed his arms. We're managing just fine, Monica. Monica turned to him. Dad, this house is so much work. All these stairs, the yard maintenance. And it's just the two of you rattling around in all this space. We're not rattling, Walter replied. This is our home, and it always will be, Monica assured. But there are options now. Beautiful communities where you'd have help if you need it, activities, friends your own age. Friends our own age, Walter repeated, as opposed to our young, vibrant social circle of 20-somethings. Hilda intervened. Monica means well, Walter, and she might have a point about getting me checked out by a doctor. I have been a bit forgetful. There's a wonderful neurologist in my building. I've already spoken to her about you, and she can fit you in next week. And while we're thinking about health, we should really update your legal documents. Power of attorney, healthcare directives. Daniel has a fantastic attorney who specializes in elder care. Elder care, Walter echoed. The conversation continued along these lines, Monica presenting reasonable-sounding concerns wrapped in solicitous language, Hilda receptive in her trusting way, Walter growing increasingly silent. She's just trying to help, Hilda said that evening. All of them are. Daniel called earlier about helping organize our finances, and Reed mentioned a lovely forest retreat that might be good for my memory. Don't you find it strange? Suddenly, all three of them are intensely interested in our well-being, our home, our finances. They're our children, Walter. Yes, he agreed. And in the past 5 years, how often did all three of them contact us in the same month, let alone the same week? Hilda had no answer for that. The campaign continued over the following weeks. Daniel arrived with coffee and financial folders, speaking in jargon about simplifying their accounts. Reed appeared with brochures about forest therapy retreats, insisting the mountain air would do wonders for Hilda's condition. Monica scheduled appointments with specialists who asked alarming questions about Hilda's memory, despite the cognitive tests showing only mild, age-appropriate changes. Walter found himself increasingly outmaneuvered. His objections were smoothly countered, his concerns dismissed as paranoia or stubbornness. Just sign here, Daniel said one afternoon. It's a standard power of attorney form. Lets us help with bill payments if you're ever hospitalized or unable to manage things. Walter scanned the document. This gives full financial control, not just bill-paying authority. That's standard language, Dad. It only activates if you're incapacitated. It's for your protection. I don't need protection from my finances, Walter stated. Dad, Daniel sighed with theatrical patience. You're not getting younger. Remember last month when you forgot to pay the electric bill? Mom was in the dark for hours before the neighbor checked on her. That had been a simple clerical error, the bill lost under a magazine, but Walter found himself unable to effectively counter the narrative his children were creating. By the end of the month, Walter had noticed several disturbing developments. Banking notifications came to his email about account access from new devices. Investment statements showed unusual activity. And most alarmingly, Hilda had begun to doubt her own competence, repeating their children's concerns about her memory as if they were medical facts. Perhaps they're right, she said one night. Perhaps we should consider that assisted living place Monica mentioned. Hilda, listen to me. There is nothing wrong with your mind that isn't normal for our age. And there is nothing wrong with our ability to live independently. Then why are they so worried? I believe they may be worried about themselves more than us. You mean our money? I can't prove it, Walter admitted. But yes, I suspect financial motives. Daniel's business troubles have been in the business section. Monica's divorce settlement, Reed's, lifestyle. They wouldn't, Hilda whispered. Would they? Walter had no comforting answer. The next morning brought Reed to their door, unusually early and uncharacteristically enthusiastic. Great news, he announced. "I've booked that forest retreat I told you about. All expenses paid. My treat. We leave this weekend." "This weekend? But I have my garden club on Saturday." "This is more important than the garden club, Mom," Reed insisted. "It's a specialized program for memory enhancement through nature therapy. Very exclusive, very effective." "What's the name of this facility?" Walter asked calmly. Reed faltered momentarily. "It's, Forest Haven. Very prestigious." "I've never heard of it," Walter said. "It's new, cutting edge. Look, are you coming or not? I've put down a non-refundable deposit." Walter was about to refuse when Hilda placed a hand on his arm. "Perhaps we should give it a try, Walter. Just for the weekend." He recognized the hope in her eyes. Hope that they were wrong about their children's intentions. Hope that this was genuine concern, not calculated exploitation. "Fine. One weekend." Reed's relief was palpable. "Excellent. Pack light. Just the essentials. I'll pick you up Friday morning, bright and early." After Reed departed, Walter turned to his wife. "I don't trust this. Neither do I. But they're our children, Walter. If we're wrong about their intentions, refusing their help would only damage our relationship further. And if we're right, then we'll know for certain. And we'll act accordingly." Walter squeezed her hand, marveling at the strength beneath her gentle exterior. Whatever came next, they would face it together, as they had faced everything for nearly 50 years. The appointed Friday arrived with an unseasonable chill in the air. Walter had slept poorly, troubled by dreams of closed doors and empty rooms. He rose early, checking and rechecking the small overnight bag he had packed. Something told him to be prepared beyond what Reed had suggested. He tucked in extra medications, a small first aid kit, his pocket knife, and the old compass that had been his father's. In the inner pocket, he secreted away some cash and their emergency contact information. When he emerged from the bedroom, he found Hilda already dressed, sitting at the kitchen table with her hands wrapped around a mug of tea. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. Walter shook his head. "Too much on my mind." "Me too." She hesitated, then added, "I called Monica last night to ask about this retreat." "And?" She seemed surprised at first, then quickly covered, saying it was a wonderful place. "But Walter," Hilda's voice dropped to a whisper, "she didn't know the name. When I said Forest Haven, she just repeated it after me." A cold weight settled in Walter's stomach. Before he could respond, the sound of tires on gravel announced Reed's arrival. "We don't have to go," Walter said quickly. Hilda squared her shoulders. "Yes, we do. We need to know the truth, whatever it is." Reed entered without knocking, bringing with him the scent of expensive cologne and nervous energy. "Ready to go?" "Great." He grabbed their small bags